The Grade Cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys! Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called the name escaped me.
Obviously, sharing's always a big issue. For young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
It was like a wet sleeve.
A bit of advice to the players. That's all I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this'll do a little bit early.
Oh, Australia win the Ashes 4-0. What do we learn? What do we feel? Simon Katich is on the show. Phil Walker has stayed up late to give us the English view from all the way in rainy old England indeed. Kohli steps down from captaincy. Ramiz Raj has got some ideas to fund cricket. The Under-19 World Cup is on. There's some other stuff happening probably. This episode is brought to you by Budgie Smuggler and indeed brought to you, and they have bought it at budgiesmuggler.com. Use the code CHAMP at the checkout. Sam Perry, 4-0. The summer, in many ways, has just begun, but it's mostly over. I mean, the Women's Ashes does start on the weekend. No, Thursday, I think it is. So there's more to come. The Big Bash final. And cricket just goes non-stop. But the centrepiece that was this summer, it only comes around every 4 years, down under. It was incredibly disappointing from start to finish. We've had some highs. We've had a lot of lows. And I just want to know how big Cam Green is.
That's the main question and answer to come out of the Ashes.
Yeah.
I think that's reflected in the views of the audience. And it's been good to connect with everybody through these Ashes. We built up to it for a long time. We are grateful for it happening. We're magnanimous to England because of the result that we secured. And we did as well. And I thought it would be helpful to go to the viewers, go to the audience to just try and sum up the feelings at the end of this this Ashes,
stuff.
and then we can chat, go through it however you like, the game, everything, put it into big themes, insipid, great, demolition job, all that sort of shit. Everyone's going to do the same thing.
Twin Towers.
But world's greatest collapses. Here's a few views.
God.
Here's a few views.
Fuck me, Cam Green's pretty tall, isn't he?
Good circuit, Hobart.
Blonde hair, blue eyes, 2 meters. This thing is fucking limbs. The big kid, he fucking bats, he fucking bowls. The results of some BHP mining funded experiment in the middle of buttfuck WA somewhere. It's fucking printed on his back. 42, the meaning of life. This is a sign. This is safety. Fuck yes, Cameron Green.
2 hours ago, they're none for 60. I'm like, fuck this game. This is too hard. We're meant to be winning. What's happening here? I'm scared. Not safe at all. 2 hours later, we won too easily. I mean, I'm bored. I don't feel anything. They're limp. They're flaccid. They didn't even have Jack Leach with his fragile optic nerve to make me feel safe. The summer's over now. What am I meant to do? Scorchies are on top, I guess.
Where's the presentation, Anne?
Finally.
Stop moving the robot.
Hey, that's the cross-section of views out there.
Some really good points.
From
really
men.
good points made.
Thank you to everybody who contributed visceral minutes, visceral noises throughout the time.
Yeah,
I think we'll keep it going, generally speaking, you know, when it's right. But I think that generally sums up the views from across the world.
Yeah.
Except, we've got a lot of Indian ones talking about us losing the Border Gavaskar Trophy. Just call your jets. You have your time, mate. You'll have your time, mate. Just referring to them as one collective.
Right. When I look back on these Ashes, Pez, as I like to do of a morning, I'll think about stop moving the robot. It feels like that's what it was for me, these Ashes. Just stop moving the robot.
Yeah. Know exactly what you mean.
Where do you want to start with this one, Pez? Do we talk about just last night, or we just talk about... I guess we've been doing the dailies, obviously, on YouTube and for audio, patreon.com/Great Cricketer, the reactions after every day's play. So we did that last night. We spoke about the collapse last night and the match as it went along. It was only a 3-day game. The second time that's happened two of the last 3 tests have been in 3 days. But should we just talk about more broadly the Ashes as a whole? Is that probably more interesting to people rather than just Should Billings have not chipped one to mid-on?
Oh, that the way that they collapsed last night was very symbolic. I think everyone's. I mean, that's just there's wall-to-wall coverage on the symbolism of the way they gave it up last night. I mean, actually, the series was like bookended by extraordinary deliveries that bowled guys that shouldn't have. I mean we probably should have known it would be like this from the first delivery of the Ashes. Like that was the standout moment. The first ball, everything went downhill from there.
That is so symbolic of what was to come.
Exactly.
And I think when we saw it happen, I mean, we were watching on the couch again. You got up and just fucking left. And you started laughing down the corridor.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the summer gone right there.
Yeah.
First ball, half folding on leg stump, no swing.
Yeah, exactly. So Warney's still found a way to be part of it. Good on him. Great, hell of a bowler.
The king.
He's the king.
Yeah.
And he's always welcome.
Those wheels are a bit heavy going, but he's the king.
He's the king.
He's the king.
Absolute king. As long as that's... Yeah, and then Ollie Robinson giving up the stumps. I mean, look, at about whatever time it was, like 9 o'clock last night or 8:45, everybody agreed that the match needed to end at 4 down. We're all in agreement to finish this off, apart from maybe a couple of broadcasters and ads and shit, or whatever the fuck happens there.
What wicket was it for you? Was it the Stokes one? Caught by line, short ball, or was it root?
Well, man, I mean, WinViz had England at 52% chance of winning at one point.
That's a fucking joke.
I like CricViz. I think it's like, hey, at 68 for none, I was like, oh, this has got a real let's give him something. Finish, like
some crumb stuff.
Yeah, some crumb. Exactly, mate.
The crumb stuff.
Crumbs, bit of crumb stuff.
I'm watching this. This is crumb stuff.
I've seen this. Yeah,
Tory, crumb stuff.
Here we go. Yeah, how's the game going, darling? Crumb stuff.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yes. No way she talks to me like that.
Just turn your head 3 millimeters.
When did it happen? I think, mate, probably like Ollie Robinson running out to point and getting bowled behind his legs for me. And then it was I don't know.
Ollie Pope,
mate, what did I say?
Ollie Robinson.
Sorry, Ollie Pope.
Yeah.
Ollie Robinson ran the other way. If I can reverse trucked it out the square leg. Sorry, I keep mixing them up.
Either way, they're running out for a circuit. I mean, that game was over for
And they need to get out of there. The demolition was complete. They got broken.
Yep.
They broke. When they broke Joe Root in Sydney, getting caught behind there, and then the rest of them were just broken.
Yeah, mate. These entire Ashes, I felt kind of pissed off. I felt pissed off at England, and it's hard to come across as an Australian because this is the rivalry, right? I know India's got a thing, but whatever. But this is the rivalry in our sport, the Ashes, right? And when my team, Australia, is so comprehensively beating the main rivals, and then I come across pissed off, it sounds extremely arrogant, and maybe there is some arrogance in there as well. Don't get me wrong, but I felt so pissed off about these Ashes for so many parts because first and foremost, we watch cricket all year round now, right? This is what we do for a job.
I'll keep an eye on it.
I'll have a look at it. Looking forward to talking about the Big Bash later. And we know these English players pretty well. We've both lived in the UK a period of time. We've got a good cultural connection with the UK, a bit more of an understanding than, say, as an example, South Africa or India, or for that matter, even New Zealand. But I've been so pissed off at just the lack of professionalism in so many aspects for England. And we know heaps of these guys for England, and they're all really good guys. There's not many bad blokes knocking about. But how many times in a series, in a 5-test series, can you let yourself down? And me watching it as a fan of these guys as people, and also just cricketers and liking the sport generally. Very reluctantly saying when I like the sport. Obviously, keep that to yourself. But the endless no balls, the 2 years of planning to not pick guys in certain situations, the lack of preparation that these guys have exuded and exhibited throughout the series, and then how many wickets they're going to take from no balls, let alone just the bowling of the no balls, the drop catches, the utter. Last night it truly was pathetic. Last night, it was the biggest no contest that I've seen in a long time. It's always grander to say worst team ever and that kind of shit, but. Hey, I'm going to go with Ponting. I can't remember a worse touring team out here, and for it to be the Ashes, and for them to have come out a while ago and said, well, everything we're building towards is for the Ashes. So you sort of forgive what happens in India with their touring with their tour to India, with some non-selections when India went to England. But then they come out here and it's so bad. And look, Australia's a really hard place to win, and history suggests that the Ashes, when they're in Australia, aren't actually a very good series anyway, because they've won, 6 tests in 35 years. 3 of those came in one series. So, history suggests that the Ashes out here aren't very good anyway. But there are ways and ways. I mean, this is so bad that, like, it's going to take a lot for them to recover from this. And I don't think you can turn around in a year. I think this is now a near on 5-year project. There you go, mate. Do something with that.
Yeah, I'm still trying to make up my mind, mate. When you say that you've been pissed off about it, I totally, I believe you.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether that's the view that would be shared by most people in Australia, because they don't watch cricket every day and it's not a really important thing for them all the time.
Oh, I don't like it.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure like is the correct word. There's another word where you're like, no, I do it every day and I'm really devoted to it, but I'm not sure I like it. Don't know what it is. Still trying to let us know if you know what that word is.
Do you like cricket? Oh, fucking hell. You just, there goes 3 hours.
Yeah. If a series was close, I think Australia and Australians would have found a way to be upset with that too, because this is what we do out here. There's a part of me that wanted the 4-5-0 every time. There's a part of me that started to have frustration when it wasn't the procession that I expected. Australia themselves have planned, maybe with a little bit less talk about it, to do exactly this, because this is what they do. This is how Australian cricket kind of regenerates itself and sets itself up again to go climb mountains that it will fail to climb in different conditions. Mm-hmm. So I still appreciate that Australia did what it did. It's just that England were abject in those areas that you talked about, like closed skill things like no balls and ways of dealing with situations and backing away and collapsing in a heap, or even, a collapse. I even take issue with that word when it comes to England, because a collapse implies that something that was normally fortified.
Yes. The structure was sound.
Yeah. Except that with England, they didn't collapse. They just got out. They just got out like that every time.
Happened,
that was just their innings.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So anyway, I think that Australia, because England was so abject, it's hard to get a read on how happy we can be about the Australian side.
Right,
without doubt, Cameron Green improved on last year. Came from a low base. It's his second series. That's good.
Yeah.
3 Asian tours are going to be a completely different thing for him. And then as for the bowlers, the bowlers did what the bowlers do. They're relentless. We've got depth. We've been doing that for a long time. Different names now, Richardson, Boland, etc. Awesome stories, no doubt.
Yep.
The batters failed to convince in the way that they have in the past, with the exception of Travis Head, who stepped up. But a lot of the big boys, they did the job, right? But we're living in a bit of a bowler's era now.
Yep.
Your 30s and your 40s are really helpful and important.
Yep.
And so I don't know what good is anymore. Is good being good in relation to other international teams, in which case, it's all there for the taking. India are losing a little bit as well. Is Australia good compared to everyone else? Is it good compared to old teams? What did England teach us? I'm just not sure. I do think England can fix it up, because they've got money, and it will take a few years, and I think they will, out of pride, put a little bit more into their red ball stuff, and I think that they will get it done. And I think the loss was so bad that they're forced to now. It's good. It's better for them that it was 4-0 than 3-1.
Do you remember last Ashes around here 4 years ago, when Lyon was talking about ending careers and stuff? I mean, it's happened they'll have to make so many changes. England. I mean, there's just, the coach's job is untenable. I'd imagine Giles is the same situation. I'm less certain about what to do with Joe Root, because it's now down to me what I should do. But him not being captain suggests that there's better candidates.
And it may not be the case.
Yeah. So, but
sometimes you need a new face.
But is his job tenable as well? It's a tricky one. I'm not really sure. Mate, I tell you what, the Australian selectors have had a fucking good summer. They've had a good summer. They brought Khawaja in when he was next cab, sure,
Yeah.
but he got 200s in the game. They brought in Boland,
Yeah.
and he has taken 18 wickets at 9.5.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Richardson came in for that game and he got a fiver. Okay, Nisa got his chance and we got to ruffle his feathers a bit, literally his salad. I guess they stuck with Harris for a bit. He unfortunately he really couldn't play in that last test match, which was good for him, I reckon, because he wouldn't have wanted to face the pink ball when Khawaja had to.
He became a better player for not playing in that game.
Big time.
Yeah.
He's probably got himself in the Pakistan tour.
I would have thought so.
Knock him up.
That's right. Take a breather, man.
Did anything else happen? I don't know. I think the selectors just had a real, and you're not supposed to say the selectors had a good summer. You only call them out when they've done something shit. But
totally.
It's come together perfectly for Australia,
mate. And it's funny what you're talking about there in terms of Joe Root, in terms of who's responsible, because what if you've got a team or a setup that's actually quite good at home and maybe similar conditions away, but you're sort of discreetly and specifically bad in really foreign conditions somewhere else? Does everyone have to lose their job in for the next 3-year cycle where you're playing heaps of different places because you're not good in one place in particular? Then you look at the Justin Langer situation. He's won. He won the World Cup.
Yeah.
He's won here at home 4-0. I noticed that Ricky Ponting last night said, well, on performance, you have to keep him. And Ponting may just be defending the principle of rewarding performance rather than just simply going off personalities or whatnot. That's kind of how bad England was. It's actually difficult to get a read on who's good and who isn't.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm kind of I just enjoyed the series for what it was. Australia did what it did. I think the Australian public needed a demolition job. You know, we've lost to India twice in the last 3 years or something. We pumped Pakistan and New Zealand. A couple of years before that, we lost to South Africa. It's been pretty turbulent. It's been a bit of mediocre stuff. It's been nice to reset.
Yeah.
Couple of hundreds, couple of guys coming through. You know, Cameron Green, some bowling shit. We've been able to relax and settle down. We've had no bushfires this summer.
That's been nice.
Coronavirus was hell, but crowds are able to come. Just brought a little bit of calm. Cummins, his eyes. No, there's no bullshit. It's that part of it's been nice. Thank you, England, for providing that pinata.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens now.
I feel like that Australia's the foundation of safety in Australia is bulk runs, and we didn't really get the bulk runs.
But no one around the world's getting runs. There's no big boys.
No, that's right. There definitely is this argument that we hear all the time about techniques in Test cricket being not as tight as what they were because of white ball stuff, and that stands to reason. Sort of seeing that bear out. I mean, Travis Head, player of the series, we've been getting pretty good odds.
And I was looking around for them too.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
the old bin lid.
The bin chicken, the ibis. I suppose you think about, but I think about 2013. Is that Johnson's Ashes?
You do think about it,
I think about it, mate. That was just Johnson being too good, and then the last Ashes 4 years ago were I feel like England they performed okay, they put up a
Mitch
fight.
Marsh scoring hundreds, Sean Marsh scoring hundreds.
There's some safety stuff there. We can hold our hat on to something there, but this time it's they're so abject that it come back to this thing of I don't know if we're good, and what does that mean?
All of the Australian players, every single one, you name me any player, they did something to decisively impact a match.
Yeah.
All the way to Michael Nisa getting Haseeb Hameed out at 9. Everybody else did something match defining.
Yeah.
And then you're is that the sign of a great environment, or is that a sign of just man for man outclassing the opposition because the gap is so massive in these conditions, or a little bit of both? We don't know what it means, and in the absence of knowing exactly what it means, then I just lie back and just hook it all up to my veins, hook all the numbers up to my veins. And the English press would be brilliant at this. England have thrown up, depending on your perspective, a statistical minefield or a statistical orgy. You can just drink so many things in around numbers comparing to the 1800s, the lowest number of 50 partnerships, the biggest collapses since fucking 1890, where everything links back to W.G. Grace and shit like that.
Right.
And it's Boland's bowling average went above 10, then went back under it as well.
Yeah.
Safety.
He averages more with the bat than the ball. He averages 12 with the bat, 9 with the ball. That kind of shit.
All that sort of shit. Ian Botham's calling him embarrassing and gutless. If you just want to do the tribal shit, and there's a part of me that does, to be honest, just a part. You can lie back and hook up.
I only like the tribalism when they put up a fight. So Sydney, when they get the draw, because they played well that game, well enough. Did they play well in Sydney?
Oh, they showed something.
Yeah, they showed something. I mean, they're 1 wicket away from a clean sweep.
10 for 56 in 22 overs last night.
That to me, like that to me, like eradicates what happened in Sydney. You know, because like they've avoided the whitewash, and then they get the conditions in Hobart. They win the toss on this green seam, overcast conditions, pink ball. It's fucking just going around corners like we haven't seen in Australia maybe ever in our lifetimes, and then they get Australia batting again at night. So it's like double whammy. Mark Wood has probably the bowling performance of the series, second to Boland's, but he gets them in the game, and they still get pumped.
All right, can I ask you a question?
Tough, man. It's tough. It's tough to enjoy.
Is Australia going somewhere now? Like, is Australia ready to scale the mountain?
Well,
they had to do it. They had to play who was in front of them. Fresh time. Cummins as captain. He probably wants a bit of renewal. They've just got some Asian tours coming up. Is Australia ready to scale again?
Australia will win the next Ashes in England. There you go. This Australian team will be pretty similar to what it will be in 18 months, maybe some batting changes.
What does Australia need to do for us to be happy? I mean,
win in England.
We need to win in India, win in England, and win the World Test Championship comfortably.
The Ashes... If they chase 270 in the World Cup final and it's 5 down, I'm fucking livid, okay?
As a polis, we won't be happy until we're better than Steve Waugh's side. It's going to be a long old wait.
We've got to win 14 tests in a row.
Exactly.
Whatever it was.
And we need to beat the Olympics and win those gold medals.
That's right.
I don't know why there's multiples, but I'll get the women involved as well.
A lot of pressure on those 2032 Olympics in Brisbane.
And make it holistic win, crush everything at all times.
How old's Cameron Green going to be at the Olympics? He can do some shot put with that, can't he?
Yeah, get him in multi events.
Yep.
You beauty.
Bit of javelin gear.
Yeah. Cam Green. It was nice to see Cam Green come through. I want 100 from him now. Always want more. Always want more.
Not enough runs.
Always want more.
You said that so sincerely as well.
Yeah.
You
want to talk to Phil Walker about it?
Yeah, I was just thinking about like the Ashes away, Ashes in England is the pinnacle of the sport. Here, it's just the series they're never as good here. So in England is the pinnacle, and I think it's a watchable time for us. We care about it because it's in England.
But that's a result of them not competing here. It should be as good here as it is there. Like, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I just enjoy watching cricket over there as well because of the conditions.
Cricket is better in
But
England,
like we had the La Nina series where the ball was over bat as well. Like everything else was there, like was applicable here.
Yeah.
You know, like a rugby league fan, New South Wales were creating the death of state of origin like in the early 2000s because they were winning too much. And then, you know, Queensland went on a run. Now, to be fair, like England just never win here. That needs to change. Yeah. But like, I don't want to get so entitled about Australia winning here that like, I'm like, oh, please give us a contest. Like the contest will come, mate. And when it does, they're going to shit all over us verbally, physically, spiritually.
Right.
So there's got to be I imagine being part of that cricket side every day in my sleep as well.
Yeah.
Like, what if they were listening? Like, well, come on, boys, we've won. I mean, can we just get some praise? We've just won the series. But instead, we sort of sit here going, you know, not
more runs for Green to be nice.
More runs for Green. England have got to sort their structures out, and then I'm going to get the right kind of series win.
Yeah,
we'll never be happy with the right kind of series win.
I want 3-2, 5th test in Sydney, Cummins Mancad.
For
the win. That's
exactly.
the perfect series.
But the entire time, you won't be wanting that because we'll be upset that England have won 2 games and they've nearly won the 3rd, you know? But it's not until he affects that Mancad.
Yeah. Well, that's
we'll
true.
Be like, oh, that was good.
That's true because last year, everyone was talking about, oh, what a great series between Australia and India. Worst series I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly.
Hated it.
Exactly. Hated the whole thing. Headingley, horrific game. Just glad we were there. I'm a nonce. Hate it. Are they fans or journalists? Hey, before we talk to Phil Walker, Higgos, who's altogether much more poetic about all of this. Yeah. Again, massive shout out to Budgie Smuggler, who keeps our thing going, you know, and he's so generous and a wonderful business in and of their own right. And to talk about them today, I wanted to talk about, and these are suggestions for custom designs. Famous state collapses. So government collapses through the era. You can actually get pictures of these on your budgie smugglers.
Of course.
So just famous collapses. The War of the Roses in the 15th century England. That's a civil war, 15th century.
Yeah, of course.
I presume the Roses matches Lancashire, Yorkshire is probably some shit to do with that.
That's how the Stone Roses were formed as well. They're quite an old band.
That's very
15th
old.
15th century, yeah.
Ian Brown, okay.
Yep.
The 30 Years' War, 1618 to 48. I guess that's some Rubik's Cube stuff.
How long did it go for?
What do we call this? What do we call this war? The Irish Civil War, 1916 to 22.
Yeah.
The Chinese Communist Revolution, 1949. Century of humiliation before that.
Right, of course, yes.
Yeah. And the Cuban Revolution, 1958. Couple of ideas for pictures and designs you can put on your budgie smugglers.
I just had the idea that you could have budgies where like the stumps are like in the middle of the budgies, right?
Yeah.
And you can have Ollie Robinson on the backside, which is about the equivalent of how far away he was from the stumps when he was bowled.
Maybe the bat could just wrap around your leg as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or Ollie Pope could be on the other side, having
That's
run
true.
out to point.
That's true. Both
Ollies.
Or you could get a photo, you could get like a design of like Salamanca Markets.
Yes.
Where the boys would have been last night, circuiting.
Bit of hue and pine.
I haven't got any DMs about any circuit stuff. Are they allowed out in Hobart?
I don't know.
Maybe just dressing room gear.
Yeah, probably not allowed out, are they?
Don't know.
Anyway. Okay, well, with that, let's talk to Phil Walker. Okay, in thinking about who we wanted to talk to at the end of the Ashes series, I thought, we need to go poetic. We need to speak to someone who's at home in England, experiencing it in the dead of the winter. And I thought, the deepest, most well-known classic institution of cricket is Wisden. And so I thought, why don't we get on the editor-in-chief of the Wisden Cricket Monthly, Wisden, and that's Phil Walker, who's joined us before. He's doing so very dutifully because he was asked about this a couple of hours ago when he was sitting on a beanbag with a Japanese whiskey, and he still answered the call. So absolute, and he's still got that whiskey. Maybe it's a new one. Who knows? As he looks down the barrel of the camera. It's our great pleasure, and we're very grateful to be joined in the dead of night. In fact, just after midnight, very, very early Monday morning in the UK. Phil Walker. Phil, welcome back to The Great Cricketer.
Welcome back, fellas. Thank you for having me yet again. I do appreciate that. It was quite the call, Sam, at 10:30 on a Sunday night, just as I'm getting myself ready. But yeah, look, when you boys call, what can I do but say yes? So here I am. Let's see how this one goes. It's been rather an emotional few days.
Great.
Say.
So you can be a bit of a piñata for us. No, I'm kidding. Can you speak viscerally to us about the experience of watching England or watching these Ashes from home in the cold winter for the last couple of months? What are your abiding feelings now? We'll get into the analysis later, which I know you can also do, but where are you at a couple of hours after it's all over?
The worst thing for me, I think, was day 2, second test. That's when I realised that all of my confected hopes, all of my sort of half-baked theories, all of that kind of desperate attempt to try and convince myself that this might be worth actually following and building up towards, and all the work that we do and all the hype that we generate, I realized that it was empty. It was a complete misnomer to think that this could actually be a fight worth having for any of us. And it's not just on the POM side. It's not just on the English side. We all suffer. Let's be honest, fellas. We all suffer. You suffer too, right? We all have a job to do here. we all are kind of enthralled to this antiquated embarrassment that once used to be the greatest rivalry in sport and all that nonsense. And I realised after day 2 of the second Test match that it's empty and it's hollow and it's dead. And I've felt that for the last, that would be now probably 4 weeks ago. And so I've been stuck in my own funeral march, really, for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And so nothing can hurt me anymore. You can't hurt me. Yeah. All your jibes, your smugness, boys, you can't hurt me anymore because I'm already down. I'm already finished. I'm already done with this thing. It feels worse, and I'm being serious here, it feels worse now than it's ever felt before. Yeah. Because now it feels existential, if you like. It never really felt like that before. We got stuffed in 06-07 and England kind of did the business with the Duke's ball in 2009 and pulled it back. 13-14, the Mitch Johnson's summer for you boys, we won it back somehow in 2015. This feels pretty terminal, I have to say. It feels pretty kind of catastrophic, on an emotional level. And that's before we even wend our way down that boring road about the English system, the English structure and all the rest of it. So this feels darker, bleaker, and therefore kind of there's a sort of catharsis to it, because now I know that there's no real turning back for a long, long time. So at least now I can stop trying to convince myself that there is something to fight for here, because that fight is done. That fight is finished. It's agony, and it's not even funny anymore. The amount of people that I've been talking to over the last few weeks, colleagues, friends, family, who are trying to kind of turn it into some kind of gallows humor. It's not funny. It's not funny anymore. It's just bleak. It's just grim. And it's been very, very tough to watch. I have to say, have I watched every ball like the responsible, sensible journalist that I am? No, of course I haven't. I absolutely haven't, because it's unbearable, frankly. And this morning, and I did watch it all this morning, I have to say, I watched it all play out today. I woke up about 7 o'clock, 45-0, England were, 45-0. And obviously, it starts to tick over in your head, maybe. You never know. Crawley, not a bad player. Arguably not a bad player. But you know what's going to play out. Of course you do. What was spectacular about this morning was just how the finality of it. It would have been an insult to the horrors of what had gone before for them to have scraped up to a kind of honourable defeat. No, they had to go down as they did. And glory be, of course, they did so. It's been horrible, fellas, frankly. It's been absolutely grim. And it's not funny anymore. You're going to try and make it funny. It's not funny. All right? So it's too late for me to hear your jokes. Okay? It's not funny anymore.
Why am I laughing?
I've got a few memes.
Of course you are. It's not.
That makes it funnier somehow.
Not funny.
Phil, we thoroughly appreciate. I love the sort of shell that you're putting yourself in. You can't be hurt anymore. That's such a like clarity of mind.
I do that in relationships.
Yeah, that's right. And we appreciate sincerely you answering Pez's "you up" text to talk to us. But there seems to be something in you were talking there about like day 2 in Adelaide, where you had this realization, this epiphany, if you will, and I know you will. But a lot of people in the UK seem to have only. Like what happened last night in Australia, like the last 10 wickets maybe, that was like a tipping point where it was so bleak. It was such a surrender that has been the tipping point. But I suppose, well, in my observations, there's been so many cues leading up to that it was actually just like, well, let's have Monday off here, boys, because we know we're not getting these runs. So was last night the sort of it wasn't a straw that broke the camel's back; it was a sledgehammer. But was that the tipping point for a lot of people? Do you think?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I've seen this before as well, by the way, with this England side, where it's at the end of day 3 or the end of day 4, and they know that they've lost, and they genuinely think, "I want a game of golf. I'm going to have a game of golf tomorrow. Sod this. I want 9 holes up the road. I'm not turning up for the last rights on the following day." And that's how it felt tonight. Or this morning, rather. That's exactly how it felt. It felt like a capitulation. But I have a degree of sympathy for them, because I'm not sure that any human being, right of mind, sound of mind, would have wanted to carry on. Yeah. Why would you want to drag the arse out of this thing where it is so patently miserable and it's done, it's finished? And so what you saw was the perfect kind of culmination of all of the crap, all of the misery of the last few weeks. It was all condensed into that 2-hour period. It had a horrible air of inevitability about it. And look, they want to get out. They wanted to get out weeks ago.
Yeah.
And what we've seen now is the manifestation of that. You've played cricket. You know no one really wants to play cricket. You understand that fundamental principle. No cricketer is ever happier than when they're not playing cricket. And you imagine what it's like to be them now. They are desperate to be out the door, on the plane, anywhere but where they are, which is in the spotlight, in that harsh, brutal light of abject failure. And that's where they've been for weeks and weeks and weeks now. It's been agony for them. And my heart, on a human level, my heart does genuinely go out to them. Joe Root, I feel a lot of sympathy for the man. He's a lovely, lovely human being and a fine, fine cricketer. And people criticise his captaincy, and I understand why, because, my God, he might put 2 men out on the hook when you should be pitching it up and all the rest of it. And he doesn't use his spinner right. I get all of that. But what can you do? What can you do when you are the leader of a team that is pathologically incapable of making more than 140 every time you go out to bat? What can the boy do? It's a collective collapse. It's like as soon as these poor sort of, limp but well-meaning chaps, and they're all smaller than your lot as well. Have you noticed how they're all smaller than yours?
That's
they
important.
don't have any shoulders. They don't have any. They've got no kind of chest.
We notice, mate.
We notice.
It's about 95% of the shtick.
They're often slightly kind of chinless as well, which is an English trait.
Chin-based selection.
And as soon as they land in Perth, in early November, it's like as soon as the plane drops, there is a collective collapse, an existential crisis that flows through every single member of that setup. And I hoped against hope that it wouldn't be the case this time. And how about that? It's exactly the same, if not worse. If not worse this time round.
Just to
tell me why I'm wrong. Give me something, fella. Give me something.
I'll throw
honestly,
something.
from your perspective, give me something.
I will. I'll throw something up from just for the sake of argument. One of the afflictions of modern society is I joke about goldfish brain before and recency bias, etc. I mean, with the current structure of the ICC schedule and how we're all coming to terms with 3 formats, 4 formats, content on every day, like we're trying to pretend we're the MLB or NBA or whatever, it strikes me that essentially that we don't operate in 3 or 4 year cycles or 10-year cycles. It's just what's the next thing. And 2 years ago, a lot of the issues that beset English cricket that might have been leading to today, they were still there, but the World Cup was on. And English cricket was really good because the World Cup was on and they could win the World Cup. And you had an Ashes at home and you can swing it around corners and it's a good series. So everything looks good. I think Australia might be experiencing that in reverse at the moment. We've got England here. So any of the problems in Australian cricket are kind of... they disappear. We're experiencing the opiate of an Ashes win. But we got three tours to Asia. We could be having a review in 9 months' time. We're talking about who should the opening bat should be. We could have a completely different order. Steve Smith's only averaged 37. So does that give you any? Does that concept give you any comfort or pause that in a couple of months' time you're going to have an English summer against beatable teams with perhaps a fit Jofra Archer and Ollie Stone? Joe Root might go back to scoring hundreds. You'll win the next Ashes potentially, and really the issue is just how do you win a discrete Ashes series in Australia by just developing guys with chins?
Right. Well, a few things. One, your lot are due, right? In the sporting cycle, Australia is due its time again. The notion that Australian cricket has become somewhat mediocre, overtaken by other powers, is obviously nonsense. And it's only been a matter of time before you come again. I happen to think that now is that time. Okay. And you look at certain individuals who have come through. You look at that freak who bats at 6 for you, who's about 7 foot tall.
That's rude.
That absolute monster.
Talk about a chin. Jesus.
Oh, mate.
He's all chin.
Yeah. I mean, he's got half a chin. We've all got 3. He is a monster, but he's not alone. You see it. You bring in your reserve quicks, none of whom we've heard of. Scott Boland, bless him. I'd never heard of him. I'd seen the name. I didn't know what he did.
Seen the name in the paper, S. Boland.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be lying to me if you said that you were kind of, behind the Scott Boland story and all the rest of it, and yet he comes in and he's unbeatable. Look, Australia's time, I happen to think, is now. And I think that the Langer era has gone through its kind of midterm blues, if you like, and I think he is coming out the other side of it. I can see Australia becoming very, very powerful over the next couple of years. And there's also a part of me in a kind of Stockholm syndrome way that actually wants it to happen. Actually, I kind of respect it. You know, the world makes sense to me when Australia are being nasty and bullying and arrogant and vicious and strong and the best. That makes sense to me. Okay, so I'm not against that scenario, and I can absolutely see it playing out. The point about England, I don't think it applies anymore. I don't think that we get you lot back, or we get India back in England and we get you on the Duke's ball and it's swinging around corners at Trent Bridge. I don't think it's as simple as that anymore. I don't think this is just a cyclical thing, you know, with the England setup at the moment. I think there are things that are quite significant that are playing out. And I don't want to get all earnest and strokey beard on you here, but there are certain things that have been ignored for so long, and we've got away with it. And because we've got away with it, we've thought that's enough, that's okay, that everything's rosy in our minor public school garden where everybody looks the same and everybody sounds the same and nobody plays the game in a different way. Nobody brings their own personalities. Nobody brings their own kind of outsider, hucksterish, outlier approach to the game, because they don't exist. They hardly exist. The people who play cricket for England and who play cricket at the top level in county cricket are the exceptions that prove the rule. And we are building our cricket in spite of our system rather than because of it. And that is just an unavoidable reality now. Now, people who are, you know, not being paid to parrot a different line have known that for a long time. When you have a setup in our country, and I don't want to get class warrior on you, albeit it is 12:20 on a Sunday night and I've had a couple of whiskeys, but I don't want to get you on this. But the reality is that in our country, 7% of the population go to private school, go to fee-paying schools. And the population of English cricket professionals is 50%. From 7% to 50%. The population of the England cricket team is overwhelmingly from that very, very narrow social world. Okay. So naturally, it's going to create a kind of homogenized cricketer, a cricketer that doesn't necessarily come from the backwaters or the back alleys or the streets. It doesn't, he or she, and it applies just as much with the girls team, They don't come to the game on their own steam, their own personality. They don't bring their own personality to it because it is very, very funneled through a very, very narrow pathway. And that is problematic. One of the things that I've always admired about Australian cricket, and you might correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's always felt to me like it is the people's game in Australia. And in England, it's just not, fellas. It's just not. And it's not been for a long, long time. I don't want to get too statty, right? But listen to this. A few years ago, 2015, the ECB and a charity went out to schools, normal schools, state schools, and they spoke to 2,000 children, and they said, and you imagine this in Australia, they said, name me 10 sports, right? Top of your head, bunch of kids, 2,000 kids, name me 10 sports. 3 out of 5 of those children didn't say cricket. They didn't even say it. So it's not like it's a bit expensive and a bit inaccessible. Cricket's not even relevant. It's not even a word that they understand. 60% of these 2,000 children didn't even know what the word was, right? So that's the level that we are working against in English cricket. So what we've seen here, sure, is a standard tragicomic disaster. Absolutely. And it's exacerbated by all kinds of other factors. And there are mitigating circumstances for sure. It didn't help that it rained for 2 weeks in Brisbane. It doesn't help that you are living through hell when it comes to COVID. And that is a legitimate point, incidentally. And it's not just an easy excuse. It's a legitimate point. None of that changes the overriding landscape that we are working against in English cricket. It's a narrow game played by a small number of people. And that is the fundamental issue that we have to face, I'm afraid. And until we do, and it will take a long time, we are always going to be working against that. We are always going to be carrying the same sort of components of naff, insular Englishness that we've seen for decades and more. And that is the fundamental thing that we have to deal with. The game is not available to people in the way that it should be. And it's not loved, therefore, in the way that it should be. And that is what we're working against.
So you think Birds and Crawley to open again?
I like Zach Crawley. I thought that 70 odd. If you're talking about crumbs of comfort, that 70 odd.
Yeah.
That was a good knock.
That was
a good player. He's a good player. His dad made his money in the city. He's got a bit of money behind him, but he knows what he's doing.
City
he knows
boy.
what he's doing, and he's a good player and a good man.
Yeah.
Mark Wood, right?
Yeah.
Look, Mark Wood, the only England cricketer I will wager to have ever delivered leaflets for the Labour Party. Incidentally, Mark Wood. I don't know if there's something in that. There might be, or there might not be. Mark Wood again is a joy. You know, he's a diamond in the rough and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
But overall, it's been pretty grim, fellas. I have to say.
Yeah.
I have to say.
Phil, thanks so much for your earnestness, and I think there's been some good black humour in it as well. I don't know if I believe you that you can't see that it is a little bit funny. I do think things turn around, and in fact, maybe it is so, times are so low in English cricket that it will actually precipitate change and refreshing, because you've got money. The ECB has money, so if they want to do some red ball stuff, I reckon they could. So, and I think, pressure from guys like you and other people will be helpful in that respect. A little bit funny for Australia, but appreciate it anyway, and enjoy the rest of that whiskey, mate.
No worries. Cheers, fellas.
Thank you very much to Phil Walker from Wisdom there. Let's get into, Pez, you know what? Let's just do this real quick. The Big Bash.
Yeah. I think that should come before Kohli.
The Big Bash is a competition that is going on at the moment. It is an Australian domestic league. Of T20 matches.
What is Big Bash?
Filled with mostly 2s and 3s guys. The Scorchies are on top. The Renegades are at the bottom. And the other teams are in the middle. Okay, the qualifier, the knockout, the challenger, and the final, that starts on Saturday. Today is Monday. So the qualifier's on Saturday. The last round game finishes on Wednesday, I think it is this week, so 2 days' time. And then the final is next, Friday week, because we need to space this one out. So right at the end of the school holidays. I guess a whole bunch of stuff can change. The Scorchies are on top.
5 teams can get in, right? Out of 8.
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone gets a crack.
That's right. Everyone gets a crack. The Heat and the Renegades are gone. And the rest are close enough.
Stars just sitting outside with a couple of big dogs trying to get over the coronavirus.
There's a whole bunch. There's 3 Pakistan players that are being called up to the PSL, so they're leaving their teams, and also Rashid Khan from the Adelaide Strikers is heading off to the PSL as well. So
Adelaide.
They are losing their players. I don't know what else to make of the Big Bash.
I'm turning on the TV at 11 a.m. and it's on now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
absolute bizarre.
Yeah. I don't know what else to add from what we've said in the previous weeks. They're keeping it on. I hope kids are liking it, and it's a nice gateway for them. I hope when dads or mums take them to Greg Chappell Cricket Centre and they see the Guernseys there, they buy them and they like the game, and that's really good. And I hope the players are going okay, just trying to keep the content going. It all feels a bit grim. I'm sure. Look. Probably. I'm sure there are some great performances that we should be calling out. But
Maxwell took a good catch.
Yeah.
Harris Sharp did some funny celebrations. Put a mask on.
Gonna say, haven't even seen
Sock
much.
Got 4 for the other day.
Haven't even seen much weird shit in terms of clips. The Sheffield Shield survives on clips of guys getting angry now. No performances.
Yep.
They need more of this for the BBL. Need more hijinks.
Also, should call out that the Women's Ashes starts on Thursday, I think it is. And then the test match is Saturday week, I think, after the Big Bash final.
How many? And that's multi-format, isn't it?
Multi-format, 3 T20s, 3 ODIs, 1 test. The test is now worth 4 points instead of 6 points. They've changed that round because the test had too much weighting on it, so there's getting all these draws in women's tests.
7-0 fuck off?
No, England are good. England are pretty good. So 7-0. Fuck off.
This feels a bit more aggressive.
It feels quite a bit more aggressive.
And it's also points based as well.
Yeah.
So
I think there's actually more than 7 points on offer.
Yeah. Well, we'll work out how many points it is. Just let us know, and then
Yeah.
we'll just do the bit that we don't mean.
I really enjoy the amount of people who tell me that's 4.95 nil. Fuck off, because they took 19 of the 20 wickets in Sydney, and actually,
and then others are like, okay, and if you give him 4.95, then that means there is 0.05 that must be allocated. No, not really.
No,
not really.
I don't think so. Pez, not sure if you've caught this, but India are going to change their captain for some reason. Okay, so a couple of things with this. Kohli has stepped down as Test captain. He is. He's made a formal public announcement. And,
little love heart emoji in the statement as well on social. So just want to
beautiful.
That must be the first.
And this is on the back of him avoiding any punishment from the ICC and the match referee after yelling into the stump mic. And in my notes, I've got ha 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 ha.
Do you reckon the ICC just came into the dressing room like, hey, listen, we're gonna mate, you got to go down for this, and he's like, Kohli just said like, look, I'm stepping down from the captaincy.
Yeah, don't worry.
You don't need it. You don't need it. And like, okay,
probably. Yeah. I think that would have been part of the negotiation.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it is funny because
he shouldn't get away with us not talking about this stump mic shit.
No, because he's basically said that the team is Supersport is cheating because they, and then hang on, let me get this right. He's called out that the broadcaster in South Africa are cheating, and there's a conspiracy going on because obviously no one wants India winning Test matches is no good for business anywhere. Okay, but he receives no punishment from this from anyone. No demerit points, no suspensions.
They had a word with him. Don't forget that. They had a word with him.
They had a word with him.
And that might have been quite emotional for him. Like when a teacher has a word with you in like year 5 or something, you might get sad.
Don't do that.
Yeah. You don't get penalised in terms of your homework.
I'm disappointed.
Yeah. Ooh. See that, whoever the ICC match official was, I mean, he's not there. Let's say it was David Boone.
Yeah.
David Boone comes up to you and has a word with you. You don't forget that. That creates an intangible penalty that you live with for the rest of your life. Booney coming up, just like sort of mumbling something through the old moustache there. Virat. No good, mate. Don't do that again.
Sorry, Mr. Boone.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'll think about that later. Mate, what a fucking joke that is, that he gets no punishment for that. Mate, can you imagine any other player? I mean, how does Ashford not get done either? KL Rahul, they all said stuff. They looked down the barrel of the stump mic, mate, and they accused the broadcaster of cheating. What? And there's no punishment for that.
Like,
That's
what about
a fucking farce.
So I've seen it suggested that like, well, it didn't actually contravene the rules because you've got to be criticising like somebody officially connected to the game or something,
right?
But like,
Feels
what
like
about
a
their
loophole.
own board? Like what? Like just upholding a couple of standards of behaviour there.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the BCCI haven't said Virat, step down, brother.
Yeah, you reckon Dada's
well, I don't know. We'll give you a chance to do it yourself. Otherwise, we're pushing you.
Just think about like mate. I know Australia's had some stuff over the years. If that was Smith, if that was Cummins, if that was Payne, if that was Steve Waugh, maybe
that was Mark Taylor.
Yeah,
that was Bill Laurie.
That's no good.
Imagine Joe Root. Like it's actually the picture of like it's actually the deliberacy of like walking up and the picture of his like upper body, like his torso bent at 45 degrees from
it's like
the
he's
hip,
been knighted.
Like yelling. I saw memes of like Happy Gilmore yelling at the ball going into the hole.
Perfect.
Same sort of shit.
Yep.
Old man yells at cloud. All that sort of gear.
So good for your home.
But like, didn't he have his hands wrapped around his mouth as well? Like as though he was calling out, or maybe not. Now I'm just imagining it.
I don't think
right.
he did. I don't think
don't need to exaggerate it. Yeah, like just how deliberate it was.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah,
it's pretty funny, and
it is pretty funny.
It is pretty funny on that level, and I want to say that like I will miss the red mist of Kohli. I'll miss the hot-headedness.
Yeah,
and he did well to like engender some heat in the Indian side. It's been nice to see what Indian heat looks like, because so often we are, we conceive of the Indian team as just absolutely unplayable at home with spin and guys going ballistic with appeals and shit like that, but maybe a bit meek away from home. I think Kohli has like got himself a fast bowling cadre that is, 6 or 7 deep. He plays with spirit and passion. 40 wins out of 68 matches. Brought a bit of personality and verve to the whole thing. A couple of vectors, taken on Australia, calling out guys who are abusing Mo Shami, asking the army or whatever they're called to quieten down booing Steve Smith. Like he made a fair bit about him that's good with Kohli.
Absolutely.
But also hot head, carry on, and I think a little bit of that carry on stuff actually negatively influenced the side. And good on him for going, that's enough. Mate, how intense would it be to be the Indian captain, all 3 formats, also be the big boy bat? You're carrying a lot, just had a kid.
I don't think so.
Nah, it'd be quite easy.
Yeah.
Wake up in the morning, make a selection call.
Walk down the street.
Yeah, okay, no, I withdraw that.
Get some milk.
I bet he doesn't
He's
drink
vegan,
milk.
isn't he?
I bet he doesn't drink milk. Even just for fit. He got like the beep test going, in India. Like he gave them a hard edge.
Yeah, I was thinking about this decision to step aside, and I just think it's actually probably just the best thing. Like he's done so much to get India from, they were never like in the minnows or anything, but to get them where they are now with Shastri, I think that team. And I just think it's the right time because, I think it's now tipped into a bit of stuff, especially after losing stepping down from the T20I captain, then losing the ODI captaincy. And then you just see some stuff, which I think, as you've rightly said, negatively impacts the team. Really, like, he just demands high standards, right? Which I'm sure a lot of professional athletes do as well. Stuart Broad does the same thing. And it just tips into a bit of stuff of like, I'm not sure if that's great leadership in that moment. So I just think, but that's flogging a dead horse. Like, he stepped down. I just think this is probably the right time for a new person to take over, which is interesting who that next person will be because, Rohit is taking over the ODI captaincy and he's 35, and Rahane might not even play in the next test match, which is against Sri Lanka in India, I think, or maybe that's away.
KL Rahul was the vice captain.
KL Rahul
in
was the
South
vice
Africa.
captain. He captained the second test there. So
Sonny Gavaskar said that it should be Rishabh Pant.
Wow. Well, he made a lot of errors in the IPL, but as you would, I suppose.
Friend of the show.
One of our best friends. I don't know. Interesting, I suppose. But just can't get over that there was absolutely no punishment for one of the silliest things I've ever seen in the cricket field. I've got to say as well, like from my observation, I've sort of got my finger on the pulse, mate, about what
over in India,
what the Indian audience have got. I just read like sort of 3 or 4 comments from 1.2 billion people, and I think they felt pretty let down by it. I didn't rate it at all. I don't see many people defending that at all.
Yeah,
a couple obviously. That's what you're going to get.
Well, when you don't grow up with the weird overlay of like grade cricket or weird Australian masculinity overlaid onto cricket where you've got to be like some sort of coat all the time. Yeah. Most reasonable, rational thinking people are like, you're just carrying on like a child. Yeah. So not surprised. But as an Australian, I am surprised because I'm sort of like, I like the hothead stuff. Do you give any weight to people saying Kohli's been a real advocate for test cricket in a country that obviously is very powerful in cricket and he's heavily moving towards the white ball game? Yeah. Do you think that there's any concern for test cricket, or is this just like another round of people saying that test cricket's going to die as they've been saying since 1890? It's
what I was going to say about England earlier, but I forgot in that I don't want to be alarmist about it or
do it though. Clicks.
There isn't worry if only 3 teams are going to play the series, like the majority of the series, and one of them is fucking really, really bad
compared to the other 2.
Compared to almost all of them. I mean, England are on the bottom of the World Test Championship table.
They give everyone else a game. That's all you got to do. Got to give them a game. You've got to keep up with the other 2 big boys.
Are they going to beat New Zealand, South Africa? I don't know. This summer. Anyway, it's a little bit worrying, but I've never really observed that before. But heaps of people have said it that Kohli's been such a huge advocate for Test cricket, so that's good because we all like it. I'm not sure. It's hard to tell, but it does feel like in our lifetime anyway that it is driving further and further away from Test cricket because it's all money. Like, money controls everything, not just in sport.
Maybe there should be less Test cricket.
Maybe there should be.
So it's more special.
But New Zealand are the World Test champions. But they lost to Bangladesh. What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't know. Just sometimes teams win and lose in sport.
Pretty weird take, mate. Hey, this is on the back of South Africa winning against India. Absolute,
so long ago, mate.
Unbelievable result. They won that 3rd test there. You can get our reactions on YouTube and Patreon. Darryl Cullen, after that, said that Rabada's the best bowler in the world. I'm sure India would say Bumrah's the best bowler. We've got Cummins, Broad and Anderson, pretty good in England. And there's Ollie Robertson bowling off spin. So which one of those 4, mate?
Yeah, well, Warren got Cullen out all the time. So, I don't know. What does Warren say? Hey, he's up there. He's up there. I think Bumrah and Cummins are head and shoulders for quicks. But then there's a whole fucking cavalry underneath that are all really good on their day. It's a fast bowlers era. You know, you get like Australia wanks on about its own attack, but like a lot of teams.
One of my favourite wanks.
One of.
Yeah.
What are your others?
Marco Jansen, how tall he is, and younger than Green.
And Cam Green. Mate, South Africa was good, and we're keen to get a South African perspective on this win. It's just it was so long ago, like at least 3 or 4 days from when we were recording.
That's right.
So other shit's happened since then, but like this was a great series, fucking really close.
It was a really good series.
And South Africa, like they, for those who weren't following the dailies and stuff like that, it was completely understandable. India are up 1-0 in this series. They crushed them in the first test. South Africa looking very weak and a bit spare parts without their like spearhead quick Unrick Nortje. Very few bats. Quinton de Kock retires from Test cricket after the first test, which is just losing 3,500 runs and an average of 40.
39, yeah.
And the gloves. You think South Africa's in trouble here, and they bounced back in like Protea Fire style. They played great cricket. They loved the contest, and like it was really great to watch two very, very proud sides go at it hard. Both games were really close. South Africa end up winning them comfortably, and just a little bit more know-how and nous in their own conditions with the bat, where the 30s and the 40s were more helpful than the India collapses. Like among it though, Rishabh Pant just hit this unbelievable 100 in the last game. If they'd won the game, it'd be sort of up there with like, Mark Waugh, Port Elizabeth shit.
Yeah.
But he didn't, and so we won't talk about it that much.
Yeah.
Just awesome series, and like I want to see South Africa come through. They was fucking smash ass.
Mate, I'm looking forward to South Africa, England this winter, our winter, their summer, England summer, because Nortje will be back, Jansen, Olivier, Rabada.
Olivier needs to sort those 3/4 sleeves out, man. It's not right. Thick boys don't need those 3/4.
Other things, Pez. Ramiz Raja has proposed a yearly quad series between Pakistan, India, England, and Australia, with the profits to be shared equally with every test-playing nation.
I like it.
Get yourself in there. Get yourself in the top 4 big boys there, Ramiz.
Well, mate, I just love everything that comes out of the mouth of Ramiz Raja, and again inserting us, but including when Trent Copeland introduced us to him and couldn't believe that Ramiz Raja hadn't heard of us, and he just blanked deluxe, and it was great.
No, Trent said, the great career, and he's like, oh, yeah.
Like you don't know, do you, Ramiz?
Yeah.
Sorry, we'll actually get out of here. We were not invited. No, but I like everything coming out of his mouth. But he's come in, he's shaking things up, at least with his rhetoric, the way he responded to England.
He's a big
getting
alpha.
out of there.
He's a big old alpha.
Like it.
Big old alpha.
He's making a point here, regardless, like whether or not this happens.
Oh, it's dumb. Won't happen.
I think it's less about Pakistan edging their way into the big four, and if they did, fucking great. It's more about saying, and you know what, we're going to play, and we're going to give the money to everybody else. Hey, call me a socialist, and you can. Democratic socialist, that's fine. So
Bernie Sanders over
have
here.
a look at it. Yeah, fuck, I'd call that one of the biggest compliments you've ever given me. But I like hearing somebody talk about this shit.
Yeah.
I like hearing someone at the top of cricket say, why don't we do it a little bit differently? And why doesn't everyone else at the top pull their weight and help out? Good on him. I don't know if they'll play or not. Got a feeling they're not going to play. But good shit from Ramiz. And we're going to go over to Pakistan. A couple of guys might be pulling out with Australia. We'll cover that in a couple of weeks' time.
Maybe.
But yeah, I want more Ramiz Raja.
I completely agree. And I'm really looking forward to India giving up some of their profits to give to Pakistan. That's definitely going to happen. But you know what? Ramiz Raja's got his big old balls swinging out there. He's like, hey, let's do something
big
different.
Big old piece.
Let's keep it alive, baby. Hey, the Under-19 World Cup has started. Australia's group is West Indies, Sri Lanka, Scotland. Australia won the first game against West Indies.
She got the notes.
And Higgins is batting 3 for Australia. My dream is finally coming true.
Higgins is the CEO of Cricket USA, or was. He's moved to the ICC or some shit.
No, that's Ian Higgins. This is Isaac Higgins. He's batting 3 for Australia. Higgins batting 3 for Australia, mate. How do you think that makes me feel?
Higgins. What I feel is that you're a big under-19s man. You love in more ways than one. So
fucking hell.
You catch yourself sometimes. You say it and go, I'll go
sure,
with
yeah,
that. I'll go with the sexual entendre. You like an under-19 kind of stat, don't you?
Oh, it's interesting to see like young guys coming through. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good. I mean, I guess they do come through. See a couple of pictures and shit like that. Yeah.
You see like ICC on their Instagram, they start posting stuff on like when Kohli's playing, Rishabh.
Yeah. Oh, he's in when they look young, bit of a different face.
Hey, he looks so little.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the jersey's a bit baggy on them. A bit of fucking coat hanger on the old shoulders.
He'll fill out.
Yeah, he'll fill out.
All right. We spoke to Simon Katich before the test match started. you want to say something?
Well, I want to talk about our dear friends before we talk to Simon Katich, which you were probably going to tear me up to do.
Yeah.
But I've stuck my finger up a bit quick.
I see.
And ICC. Can you contextualise the chat with Simon Katich quickly while I actually find this?
Oh yeah. So we spoke to Simon Katich before. It was the morning of day one of the Hobart Test. So it was a couple of hours before the first ball was bowled. So we're not actually speaking to him about the Ashes per se, more about interesting chat about him and coaching and the IPL and his work generally in that space and commentating as well. So that's what the chat's about, and less about how well Cam Green bowled this summer.
It's brought to you by T20 Stars again. So great to be in partnership with these guys. Now, there's a new promo for you out there. And they've been delivering promos deluxe, haven't they, Higgos?
Deluxe.
Mate, deluxe. Bats, gloves, getting 10% off gear, returning stuff. Watto is the emerging entrepreneur of cricket and, dare I say, sport globally. And here's the new one. The team at T20 Stars are so excited for the Women's Ashes to get started that they're offering... bear with me here. In the past, it was bats, gloves. It was a sort of finite range.
Yes.
Team at T20 Stars, so excited about the Women's Ashes to get started. They're offering 10% off their full range for the duration of the Women's Ashes series. Wow. Okay? Now, you got to use this code. Listen to the code. ASHES10, ASHES10. Okay, so the numbers, not TN. ASHES10. You're going to get 10% off the full range. And they are maintaining that idea that they're offering cricket's first 30-day trial period for all gloves and pads. If you don't like the gloves and the pads, you don't like the mitts and the stuff around your legs, you can return them.
The mitts and the stuff around your legs.
You know what we call it. And they're offering that because they're confident that you'll love them. But if you're not, you can send it back free of charge.
Hey, not bad.
30-day free trial period. But the main thing is 10% off their full range for T20 Stars gear. Get into it. Use the code ASHES10.
Here he is, Simon Katich.
It's always a pleasure to have this bloke on the show. It'll be his second time round, probably about the 30th time I texted him. But that's because he's a man in demand and I'm also shameless. These are my words, but I think others would agree. This guy's captain of the Good Blokes 11 of Australian cricket. If you're not on his side, there's something wrong with you. And I don't even know what I mean by side there, because he retired a long time ago and we're just making things up when it comes to deciding who's a good bloke and who isn't. And we're just guys who played third grade. But basically what I mean is, who doesn't like this bloke? And I'm talking about Simon Katich. Cato, welcome back to The Grade Cricketer.
My pleasure to be here, guys.
Listen to that. Cato's listening to a rival podcast, and by that, I just mean The Final Word, Colo and Jeff, great blokes. And they were saying the other day, speaking to you, that you're in rude health because, as you say, COVID actually couldn't last in the hot Croatian blood that you currently have. Do you confirm or deny that?
Yeah, there was a bit of a joke going around. Obviously, I've been working on the tests with SEN and Channel 7, and after the Melbourne test, got home and found out that a few of our crew from 7 have gone down with COVID. And then, yeah, there was a few of us left standing. I think Bluey and myself were probably the only couple that didn't get it. And had a bit of a joke that obviously it doesn't survive in the 40-degree Croatian blood. So I'm sure I'm going to get it. Touch wood, I know that I've probably jinxed myself. But, so far so good. And I've managed to get through this summer unscathed.
I should say to those listening out there, we are recording this on the eve of the Hobart Test. So I know the walls close in on COVID, Cat, and I hope I haven't put the mocker on you there. Anyway,
on myself.
You're actually sounding a bit blocked up. No, I'm kidding. Mate, where I want to start with you, Cat, is like you're commentating this summer. You're across Channel 7 and SEN. People love listening to you, watching you. You got various coaching commitments in T20 leagues around the world. Like we'll ask you about JL and the Aussie setup in a second, but like, you know, when I think about guys like you, and we talked to Punter a couple of weeks ago, and I'll call him Punter as well. I just think, why would you get involved in the Australian setup 300 days away from home when there's possibly sort of better money, doing T20 stuff, commentating, less pressure, more opportunity to spend time with your family? Is that kind of the way you see it when it comes to juggling how you get involved in cricket in your professional realm?
Yeah, look, it all came about by chance, really, because when I finished playing with the Scorchers in BBL3, I think I finished on the Friday night in Perth when we played the final. And then on the next Monday morning, I started work at the Giants and worked there full time. So in Sydney. So, I didn't plan on getting into coaching or commentating, but after a couple of years at the Giants and a few things happening with just the work hours and stuff like that, the opportunity came up to be involved with the IPL, and then the opportunity came up to be involved working with the ABC and doing the Test series that next summer. I think it was in 2015. So when those sort of came through, and I was sort of thinking, well, I'm doing long hours at the footy club and probably not seeing the kids as much as I'd like. Maybe there's a chance that this is a better fit, and went down that path. And it wasn't around money, because it certainly wasn't. I was an assistant coach in the IPL, and same with the broadcasting side of things. You do your time to earn your stripes, and so it wasn't about that. But as it's panned out, I've enjoyed doing both, and a few more opportunities have cropped up. Going from radio into TV, and then also with the coaching, the IPL sort of morphed into having a role at KKR, then that went into a head coach role at their sister team TKR in the CPL, and then now the hundreds come up. So yeah, great opportunities, and I've really enjoyed being involved, but also know that with two young boys, I'm trying to find that balance so that I'm enjoying what I do with work, but I'm also present at home and being able to do all the regular routines, which is in the last 12 months or so, it's been a home-based learning, which when the reports came in recently, I got a tad nervous around the maths results, because I was accountable for that. So thankfully, the young bloke did all right. And when I asked him whether it was his ability or my teaching methods, he said it was definitely my ability, Dad. So in terms of my teaching skills, I'm still a work in progress. But yeah, look, it's the roles I've got at the moment to give me good balance with the kids, being able to coach them with sport and then help out with homeschooling.
Well, what is harder, Cato? Like throwdowns to Kohli at RCB and looking after Christo, or teaching maths to your two boys?
Definitely the easier part is dealing with the RCB boys. That was a pleasure working with all of those guys. And I think when it's what you know and what you understand is that team environment and trying to win things, then that certainly helps. But yeah, when it gets to home-based learning and dealing with year 5 and even year 1, home-based learning, it was a good challenge. But thankfully we got through that all. But I'm sure there's more that lays ahead in 2022.
And it's a glittering career, playing career and post-playing career, commentating, all of it. But let's talk about the real stuff, mate. Randwick-Petersham, Coogee Oval.
Yeah.
You played in like this great Randwick-Petersham team with like Usman was there, Nathan Horrocks, yourself. Was Bert Cockley there at the same time? Might have been.
Bert was there, yeah.
It's pretty strong twos team when you stacked it for finals. But what do you remember when a young Usman Khawaja was coming through, and what's that relationship? Because you guys never played for Australia together, right? So you had a bit of a crossover, where like you're the current Australian opening player, and Usman's like got raps on him. He's going to come through. What's that relationship where you guys are sort of crossing paths? Are you saying Usman maybe starting twos this week, or are you sort of nurturing? What's the relationship there at club level?
No, look, it was one of really strong friendship, and to this day we're still really good mates. I have been on his foundation as a board member previously, a couple of years ago. But in terms of where it's at with us, I started playing with Uzi when he was about 17, and I'll never forget that experience. He was a natural opener then, and obviously now he's getting the chance to open for Australia again in this test down at home. But we were always close. I love the way he went about it. I was his first captain for New South Wales. I presented him his Randwick-Petersham cap, and also presented him his New South Wales cap. And then when he got his baggy green, I think it was in the Ashes in 2011, early 2011. I was disappointed I didn't get to do the trifecta and present that, but I think it got given to, I think it was maybe Mark Taylor, because he was around and doing that. But the hierarchy probably didn't realise I'd presented the first two, and didn't get the opportunity. But I know that would have been a nice, nice opportunity for me to be able to do that, given that I've, enjoyed seeing his career unfold. Very proud of seeing him fight his way back last week at the SCG and play as well as he did. And obviously when he left to go to Queensland, we totally understood that decision and supported it, given that, he felt it was the right thing for him to do at the time, even though, I was here in New South Wales and finishing up sort of around that period of time. So, we've got a close relationship, and really pleased to see him get back into the team.
Speaking of grade cricket, the summer of 07-08 for you was just absolute run gluttony. 1,506 runs for New South Wales, a high score of 307, 500s that year. A real message to the selectors at that time. Also that season against North Sydney, you nicked off for naught in grade cricket. And does that... do you remember that? And, because I do. And does that just go to show that once again, grade cricket's just completely underrated in the in the pyramid of Australian cricket?
It certainly is. I'll never forget that because I reckon, I think, and this is a great excuse. I mean, I think we'd played a BBL game the night before in Brisbane, flew home.
I do remember that.
The early one, had no sleep because we had a few beers after the game. No sleep, rocked up at North Sydney thinking I'll get through this. And then, nicked off late in the day, and it was a long day. So, that's the beauty about grade cricket. I think one thing I learned early on, having grown up in Perth, is that, I played under some great WA players, Tom Moody being one of them. And, he was as professional as they come. And whenever he came back to play for us at Midland Guildford, as a 16, 17-year-old, I'd get to see that firsthand. And he'd invariably come back and score 100 or take wickets and was a true professional, even though he's playing 12 months of the year. So that was something I tried to take into, I guess, my grade career. And certainly whenever there was an opportunity, I certainly did my best to try and play. But as you know, cricket's a great game. It doesn't matter what level you play at, anyone can get you out. And North Sydney was a great example that day. It might have been scoring runs for New South Wales, but North Sydney wasn't the wicket to be making runs on that day, unfortunately.
We had a bit of a plan, mate. I think the other states missed out. It's just all you have to do is just
correct.
Couldn't believe. I was gutted. I was under the lid. I was gutted. You got out. To be honest, just want to see what it looks like,
Head off on the way off, no doubt too.
Oh yeah, mate, absolutely. Little skinny wrists under the lid. Yeah. Give him the big FO, as you'd say.
I'd expect nothing less from North Sydney.
Hey, Kat, I mean, you mentioned it's so funny you talk about those links there. You played under Tom Moody. We'll talk. You're going to assistant coach, I think, at Sunrisers, and he's the coach now as well. So obviously everything comes back to grade cricket there. But I think I told this story the last time you were on. There's a mate of mine was playing fours at Randwick-Petersham, and he broke his bat in the grand final. And you actually happened to be coming, or you didn't happen to be. You came along to watch, and you gave him one of your bats. And he went on to score 100 and they won the grand final or something. And, the idea of a current test player watching a fourth grade grand final, giving a guy a bat who then goes on to score 100, it almost feels like yesteryear now, where players at an international level would be involved, to that extent at club level. Does that, as someone who's kind of involved in now the new economy of cricket, in coaching at Sunrisers Hyderabad and RCB, does it worry you in a way that there's a separation between grade cricket and international cricket? Or should we just enjoy those memories and, bow down to our new overlords?
No, I think it would be disappointing to think that that's not the case anymore. But I still think there'd be plenty of guys around state cricket that have tasted international cricket that still come back to their clubs and play. I know, particularly in New South Wales, there's still a number of guys that, love going back to play for their clubs. And I think that's how it should be. I think, the players, it's really important that they don't forget where they come from. Unfortunately, the way the schedule is now, a lot of the international players don't really get a chance to play club cricket at all. Whereas, it was different in our era because, in the mid-90s, you only trained twice a week. You trained twice with your club. And then a lot of the time, because there was no BBL period during the year and you only played 5 one-dayers and 10 Shield games, you actually got a good chance to play a fair bit of grade cricket. And I reckon it's really important, not just for the players' perspective, but for the clubs, because I know back at Mid-Perth, my club, Midland Guildford, was very proud of the fact that they'd produced a lot of test cricketers for Australia. And that's something that, being one of those players, it's a thrill to be in that position to one, get to that level to play for Australia, but to be able to go back and help out at club level and play and I guess teach the younger guys coming through, because realistically, that's how I learned about the game from a lot of the mentors I had at Midland. And then obviously when I played at Randwick-Petersham, I was probably that older player like a Tom Moody or a Joe Angel or Brendan Julian Perth that was able to teach the younger guys like Usman or Horry or Bert Cockley and those sort of guys coming through, even young Daniel Sams, who's now coming through in the T20s for the Thunder. Played with him at Randwick as well. So, that's the beauty of club cricket is, the senior guys, that's their role, to be able to pass on all that wisdom and information and experience to the younger guys coming through. So hopefully that was the case at Randwick. And I loved playing cricket. That was, we played in the semi-professional era. So you trained 10 months a year, didn't get paid, but no one cared because you loved what you're doing. So I'm glad I was part of that era. And I don't begrudge the guys now playing in this era, but it is harder for them to get back just purely because of the schedule and the nature of the time demands.
You got Sunrisers this year for the IPL, Cat, and it's you, Tom Moody, Brian Lara, and Dale Steyn. It's unbelievable. I mean, is it going to be hard to respect Tom Moody as Tom coach because he only played 8 tests and the rest of you played 284?
No, well, the beauty is that Moods has got us all covered in terms of the experience as a coach. He's won an IPL, so he's a commanding presence, the big fella. He's about 6'8" and he's massive. So, and I've known him since I was 16, so I've got a huge amount of respect for him. I'm sure that this is Brian's first stint in the IPL, so I know he's excited to be a part of it. And Dale, we had Dale at RCB a couple of years ago, primarily to play, but also to be a really good, strong mentor, to pass on all his guidance to our young quicks. And he was brilliant at that role. So really excited to see him get that opportunity in coaching for the first time as well. So, yeah, I'm sure that Tom will be able to lay down the law to all three of us, even though that the boys, we've all got him covered from a test perspective.
I like how, it's 284 tests versus his 8, but because he's 6'8", that kind of trumps everything. Like, just
right. It always comes down to physical presence. Doesn't matter how many tests.
Well, not to relate it back to us, but we had our first go in the IPL this year too, Kat, just trying to cover it. And I don't know if it's got up to you. I think it might have, but we have to ask you, while you're in charge of RCB, we had an incident with your franchise. We were just talking to Christo and Kyle Jamison, and Christo's just really, this is what I want to ask,
It got passed on to me from Christo, and he thought he was just trying to do the right thing, as you do, on this podcast. And then, it breached the RCB protocols, which I think he got a little bit of a tap on the shoulder about.
Yeah, he's in jail. He's in jail still.
He's in jail for it, like Jamo just didn't want to bowl with the Dukes to Kohli, and next thing we know, I just wanted to know, went all the way to the top, who was the most sensitive about it, Virat or Mr. Nags?
I think it was definitely Mr. Nags. Definitely.
What's it like? Look, we love RCB is such an enigma. We learnt a lot about the IPL this year. We knew it from afar leading into it, but the RCB is just such an enigma of a franchise. It's got so many great players and can often serve up the most electric cricket. But obviously there is some blocker there around going all the way to win the title. I know you left for the second half for personal reasons, but what was your experience of working at that enigmatic franchise?
Yeah, look, it was a massive opportunity, obviously, when I found out a couple of years ago, to work, with a team that hasn't had success there yet. They've been to, I think, 3 finals, got close, and probably should have won in 2016 when lost to Sunrisers. That was the year Kohli was on fire. I think he scored must have been nearly 800 runs, which is huge in IPL. I guess there's been that disappointment, but it just goes to show how tough they are to win. So the teams that have won multiple titles like Chennai and Mumbai, it's an unbelievable effort because 8 teams, tight competition. So, the 2 years was, I guess, from my perspective, positive because we'd been, I think, last the prior couple of seasons when I'd been coaching at KKR, came in, got the opportunity. We managed to get to the playoffs and give opportunities to some young Indian players who really developed. So I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great to work with Virat for the first time. Got a huge amount of respect for him and AB and obviously a lot of the guys there that we had. Unfortunately, with the back half of the tournament, clashing with the lockdown in Sydney and homeschooling and all that, I didn't go back. But I think it was another positive season for the team and particularly with the emergence of some of the young Indian talent like Siraj and Patakal and these guys. I think the franchise is certainly setting itself up for success down the track, but hopefully not at the Sunrisers' expense now.
You literally, for those who aren't on Zoom, he just switched to his Sunrisers cap and just put it on as he was saying that.
Hey, Kat, with Justin Langer's coming to the end of his contract, seems to be very hands-on coach, he's had really good success with Australia in recent times. He's won all he can win, the Ashes and the T20 World Cup. But it seems to be coming towards an end. And there's a few whispers now around maybe he might look to take on the England job. Do you think his style of coaching could actually work with this crop of England players?
Look, I think that if he doesn't get recontracted for Australia, which there's a fair bit of speculation around, I'd be very surprised if someone like England didn't come knocking, given where they're at, particularly in Test cricket. Justin's done everything asked of him since what happened in Cape Town. The cultural changes he's made, where the team's headed at the moment. Yes, there's still a work in progress away from home, but to win the T20 World Cup for the first time away from home in the UAE was a huge result. I think we've always had the talent in T20, but we haven't probably been able to put it together in the tournament, particularly away from home. And now having it at home in the later this year, we're going to have a big advantage playing in our home conditions. So, yeah, done a great job in the Ashes, albeit it's been probably a one-sided contest and England aren't probably where they want to be at Test cricket at the moment. But he's done everything asked of him. So, and it has been a bit of a surprise to see it play out this way. But if he doesn't get recontracted, I can see not just England, but a number of countries coming knocking because, he's a quality man. He's had huge success as a coach in all the formats, whether it's Test cricket, and then obviously T20 with the Scorchers and now with Australia. So, yeah, look, it'll be no surprise if England come knocking, given where they're at, and given the fact that they have to develop, a number of young batsmen to be strong at Test cricket, because that's where a lot of their big holes are at the moment. We've seen in this series, there's been Root, and then there hasn't been a lot behind him, and that's the challenge for England now in Test cricket is to obviously get a few of their younger batsmen up to speed so that they can become, stronger at Test cricket. We know they're going to play well at home because their bowling lineup is suited there, but runs in Test cricket probably away from home has been their big challenge in the last sort of 12 to 18 months.
Kato, Darren Lehman was talking about this the other day, and he said that JL's had he's had 4 years or 5 years. It might be time to walk away now, even though that's not really the way JL does things, which is fair enough, each to their own. The question seems to become now, if whatever they do with the coach, if they move beyond Langer, will they split the red ball and the white ball stuff? And I feel like it's an interesting question for a whole bunch of reasons, but one of them is for the reason that I said earlier. There's all this IP walking around in Australian cricket who are being contracted by IPL franchises like yourself, like Ricky Ponting, Haddon, all these guys who may be of great service to their country as a coach, but the commitment is just absurd, really. If you're somebody with a family or other interests in life, they're my words, obviously not yours. If they split the white ball and the red ball stuff, is it something you would look at more closely in terms of helping Australia from a coaching perspective?
Yeah, look, it's a very good question. I think they probably will look into it, and I think a lot of countries will start to go down that path because the formats are becoming, the white ball and red ball formats are becoming so different, and we've seen that throughout the summer. There's a big gap between what Test cricket looks like from a batting and bowling perspective compared to T20, and even ODI cricket's changed from 20 years ago as well, given the emergence of T20. So I think that could happen, and I think it certainly will be of interest to guys that are involved in franchise cricket. So, for instance, Ricky Ponting's had success in the IPL. As I mentioned before, someone like Tom Moody's very experienced and had success in the IPL and other tournaments. So there will be plenty of guys that potentially would put their hand up for that sort of role. So whether I was to be looked at for that, it remains to be seen. But it's certainly something that I think a number of us would look at. But also know that there's also very good candidates within the Australian coaching setup as we speak. So, and they already have existing relationships with the players and stuff like that. So that's a big advantage. But as you say, the time commitments are great. And I think 4-year cycle seems to be almost like the tenure for coaches because the international schedule is so hectic now if you do all three formats that if guys have families, there is a pressure point for being away from them for so long when you're looking at 300 plus days a year. So it is a huge commitment. And I think those of us that have had longish careers for Australia or even domestically, when you played for 20 years and you've sacrificed that family time and then you do move into post-career, you're trying to find that balance between being present for the family, but also still being able to enjoy a career that gives you that challenge, from a new perspective, whether it's coaching or commentary or whatever it is. So, yeah, it's certainly something that I think would interest a number of people, but it remains to be seen how they'll do the contracting moving forward.
Simon Katich, thanks so much. You gave us more time than we asked for because we're sort of greedy and we like talking to you. Made all the best balancing, whatever it is that you'll be balancing moving forward. You're obviously a man in demand. We appreciate your time. We'll catch you next time.
My pleasure, guys.
And thank you very much to Kat for his time. Pez, we've got to say Manscaped. We've got some Manscaped gear, I presume. We're doing Manscaped gear?
Yep.
The code is TGC for 20% off. That's the main takeaway from this. Manscaped, it's that time. I tell you what, it's heating up. It's heating up in a La Nina summer, but things get a little warmer.
Well, it's Australian Open week here in Melbourne.
That's
so
right.
that means it'll be 40 degrees and players will have to fall
That's
over.
right. That's
One
right.
fewer player. One less player.
Yeah.
Recognised player, that is. Had to leave because of pretty bit going on.
Well, he fucked up the form, didn't he?
He fucked up the form, yeah, or his team did.
Yeah.
I know I always get other people to fucking fill my stuff up when I'm going international. Definitely the only issue within that.
Yep.
Okay, well, Happy New Year's.
Thanks, mate. It's fucking January 17.
Happy New Year's from our friends over at Manscaped. The ball is officially dropped, but that doesn't mean you have to drop the ball on your balls. Dropping a ball on your balls, he goes.
Fuck that.
They mean drop the ball figuratively. We were saying that, like, there's a couple of other weird phrases like that, like someone doing something on their dick.
Yeah,
of course. Do it on your dick or balls to the wall. What does that mean?
I don't know.
You step up your game with your balls and your penis. With the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. They reckon 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Reckon there's tax on that? Reckon a bit of mayo? I don't like that.
No, I think it'd be more than that.
More than 4 million people.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's business is good.
Yeah.
At Manscaped.
Yeah.
Business
Well,
is
it should
good.
be. It's a good product.
Yeah.
It's good gear.
Look at you.
It's good gear.
Look at you. That's nice. Go to manscaped.com and use the code TGC for 20% off plus free shipping. New year, new you. We're meant to talk about recent manscaping or scaping scenarios. Just going to be honest. Haven't scaped in a couple of weeks. Haven't needed to. Pretty fresh from my perspective.
Yeah. I had a look before.
Oh, you had a look at what? You had a look.
No,
what do you mean?
No, when you were in the bathroom before, I had a look at your...
Oh, as you do. Man.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, how you travelling?
Hey, how you going there, Pez?
Can you cough?
Pezza?
And then there's this point about the six-pack
Yep.
for your balls. I mean, I'm not sure about that one. It's a weird image. Let me know if that's wrong. And then, it's got all the trappings and shit. 4,000K LED spotlight. Okay, good on you. The point is, you can get your clippers. They don't hurt. If you're new to this, these clippers, they don't hurt your balls when you shave.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's perfect. Manscaped.com / use the code, TGC for 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped.com. Just do it.
#AskTGC. We were speaking on #AskTGC Fridays at patreon.com / Grey Cricketer. Or if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can join the Coat tier for our membership and you get #AskTGC Fridays every what day, Pez?
Friday.
Thank you. Episode 73 was last week, and we were talking about nicknames. We were talking about some dressing room hilarity, a bit of horseplay in the dressing room. So one guy wrote in, and he heard a story about a player putting PK chewing gum inside his penis. Oh, yeah. And here's what we're talking about. Pez, it's Friday, and all I want to know is, how is the piece on it?
Mm. And so as it's going in, we're up to like 22,
22,
20, 23. He's got it in.
I tell you, 23 is a tight squeeze. 20, No, I can get 20. 24. Yeah. Come on. 24 goes.
Yeah!
Lads!
Oh, let's go again. Yeah. Can someone get this PK out of the hood of my cock, please? It's stuffed in there. Oh.
Patreon.com / Great Cricketer. That's what we're talking about there every Friday. #AskTGC Fridays at patreon.com / Great Cricketer.
Listen, at the risk of kind of moving into Patreon style chat, so after we told that story, it's often the case.
Yeah.
You get a few more stories coming in from people who believe, like we didn't name who this person was,
No.
who was able to do the PK sort of 24
trick.
piece thing, the PK trick. But people wrote in pretty sure they knew who it was and told us some other stories. And I haven't said this to you yet, but someone else said that this guy can do, we're talking about penis tricks here. He can do what they call,
You did tell me.
Sauce on a blimp.
Yeah, that was, what the fuck was that?
Sauce on a blimp. And it pertains, you gotta talk about this, it pertains to trickery possible for uncut penises. And I don't really understand it because that's not sort of how I roll. But which is just my parents' decision, not mine. I was too young. But fuck.
I don't understand the sauce, like the use of the sauce.
I asked. I followed up.
Oh, you followed up? Yeah, follow up.
It was a trapping. It was for effect.
Something for the eyes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, of course. When I see a blimp, you want some sauce on it.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, I'm not saying that on Patreon that's all we discuss, but it's kind of the theme, and it's
just some looser, some darker.
It's not that we're glorifying
exploratory.
It's an information exchange, rightly or wrongly. This is a large part of the culture of cricket globally, and less so for Australia, like right now. But it's still true, and it does inform the way we see things. Yeah, that manifests in sauce on a blimp, etc. And we just look at it. If you want to join up, that's patreon.com/GreyCricketer.
Razor has written in. Do you want to read this one out? I read them out last week.
Yeah, sure, Razor. Boys, having seen England's meek attempt at competing in Australia this year and then listening to your opinions on YouTube following India's win at Centurion, I fear for the longevity and viability of Test cricket. Since seemingly every administrative move made by the ECB following the 05 Ashes, cricket behind the paywall, the 100, negligence of the county game, has had the goal of making as much money as possible while killing Test cricket, is it fair to reason that they should no longer be a part of the vaunted Big Three nations? Thus, the state of Test cricket is in the hands of us and India. You boys have a much better grasp and knowledge of the Indian game, but I have the impression that they, and particularly Kohli, want Test cricket to survive. As an Australian fan, though, I feel in a position to comment on our position and lack of leadership on the world stage. I am frankly sick and tired about how we carry on in an administrative sense, prioritising the bottom line above all else. The playing group were eviscerated following sandpaper, and yet somehow CA have apparently dodged their fair share of the blame, despite being comparably culpable, a point Jeff Lemon raises in his book, Steve Smith's Men. That's an award-winning book. Case in point is when in 2018 we cancelled the Bangladeshi tour of Australia for financial reasons. Dan Brady, Cricket Info. I mean,
he's citing sources.
I don't think it was just Brady who did that. Anyway, no doubt he reported on it faithfully. The Kiwis, on the other hand, as World Test champions, are opening their summer by facing the Tigers, the third such Test series since 2016-17. New Zealand only hosts 4 Tests a home summer due to the cost of hosting Test matches and have been continually disrespected despite having the best all-round cricket program if you use performance at world events as your metric. Well, do you think it is likely that Australia will start pulling its weight by sharing revenue and inviting less than prestigious teams to tour on our shore? Is inviting Afghanistan for a one-off test enough evidence to undo the last however many years of neglect? Or has the goal always been to reduce Test cricket to Australia v India, home and away, for 8 to 12 tests a year, a smattering of ODIs, and whatever T20Is are needed to sate the public's appetite? When this happens, will the Kiwis' ascension to inaugural World Test champions be remembered fondly as an underdog triumphing, much like Seabiscuit, or India and Sri Lanka in 83 and 96 respectively? Or will we have successfully turned the narrative about how we were robbed of 2 points that ultimately cost us the title? Yours in eternal hope, Razor.
Hey, great question, Razor. So just money controls everything. Like now, football, as in soccer, is a much more popular sport globally, but even they don't have an off-season anymore because they now play the Audi Cup, where
That's
it's
a
like
good tournament.
It's like Real Madrid and Tottenham are in there for some reason, and AC Milan and Liverpool and United and stuff, and they play that in America to try and get some more money. So, why would CA invite Afghanistan here for a 3-test series when no one's going to watch that? And then all the revenues are down, and then we don't have any money.
There's a good answer to that, I think.
What's that?
To understand the answer to that is to get to the very essence of our like operation and meaning of society. Like Barney Ronay was on the show the other day saying, must must everything be driven by short-term financial interest? You know,
but of course that's right. I'm not saying that I agree with this. I'm just saying like it's not going to happen because it's going to take like an entire board of people who answer to shareholders whose interest in the game is that they make more money.
But these administrations don't have shareholders, and yet they are run like arch capitalist organisations who do serve to burnish the bottom line, which invariably it helps the coffers of administrators. You know, like I mean, I'm not going to go on a big fucking rant about you don't hate the ECB, you hate capitalism, but it is too skewed that way. There are like moral obligations, I think, to bring other nations through, and actually there's a good capitalist argument for that from a sustainability perspective. It's just that there's not a good short-term argument for it when if you're an administrator who works for 3 years in an organisation then fucks off to a consultancy or something like that.
Is it fanciful that the Australian public would be invested in the growth of associate nations if Afghanistan played 3 tests out here for a summer?
It's not fanciful if you have strong leadership. You know, that's what leadership is. It's literally being a knowledgeable person with good moral fibre and intelligence who is able to grow the game both financially, commercially, and
in the showers.
And your penis in the showers. Damn it! That's my problem. Any business or product wants new audiences. They want new participants.
Yeah.
They want to grow their stakeholder base. That there are so many people in Afghanistan and Bangladesh, etc. The game will be better. There will be more money if you can do it. But it takes some leadership that is invested in the long term. So many things we're so short termist. Look at our governments, etc. And that's why there needs to be fast rail in Australia. I mean, what Ray's asking there, that is the key existential question of like men's test cricket as it pertains to the existence of the game altogether. And I think the answer is like very much rooted in people's values around like financial systems and capitalism and shit like that. I don't know. Anyway, we're covering a couple of dailies.
I think the answer to Ray's question is Cam Green's 2 metres. Or is he? I don't know. Thank you very much to Simon Katich. Thank you very much to Phil Walker. Thank you out there for everyone who's joined us across this summer. There's more episodes to come with TGC this summer, although, of course, we are winding down as the Ashes is over. And indeed, it's 4.9-0. Fuck off.
The grade cricketer is a Twitter stream. It's about playing cricket at the grade level.
Boys!
Get a few today, did you?
To be honest with you, I hate grade cricket.
I went into to play for a team called the name escaped me.
Obviously, showering's always a big issue for young kids coming into a senior cricket team.
I think it was like a witness league.
A bit of advice for the player. That's what I want.
I refer to the great cricketer here and I'll say, this'll do a little bit early.